Lakhs of people move towards the big cities every year. This is not a phenomenon peculiar to India. The possibility of living a minimal human life in the big city is the driving force that pushes the rural population to leave their homes, fields and villages. The population of rural India gasps for basic needs: water, electricity, schools. This need gets intensified in the face of natural calamities which snatch away the little that they do have. In an unjust system, it is always the poor who face the harshest realities. Among them, always the women and children who pay the biggest price. And among children, always the girl child. A victim of her gender, her fate is further complicated by an unjust, unequal socio-economic system. There are about 15 major cities in India towards which the rural population gravitates. They belong to the villages, most of which do not have adequate water supply or electricity. They have left their traditional occupations or are running away from the stranglehold of bonded labor. When the migrant reaches the city, he is equipped only with poverty, illiteracy, and a lack of skills. He will take on any work that could bring in a few rupees. If nothing works, turn to begging, or at the worst, to crime. Dreams of a better life usually end up in hopeless, underpaid drudgery. Concern for the girl child tends to focus attention on her as an individual entity. But her life is linked to her family, the only security she ever has in her entire life. Her life takes shape according to the fate of her parents and the other children in her family. There is no pre-planned strategy that molds her life, no conscious effort to deprive her of her rights. It is an intangible process, born from an ancient chauvinistic society, pathetically aggravated by lopsided growth and development. This is a slum in the well-to-do South District of New Delhi. Migrants from various parts of India live here. Many of them are from Rajasthan. Severe drought and famine over the years have forced thousands of Rajasthanis to leave their homes and come to the big city in search of ways to get some money and food. The background changes from rural to urban. Unfortunately, almost everything else remains the same. The illiteracy, the poverty, the clear-cut definitions of what the men will do and what the women will do. Along with the demand of poverty, ultimately this turns the children into an economic workforce within the family. Sharda's family is one such. In all, there are 10 brothers and sisters. Chagna is the patriarch, proud to have never succumbed to vasectomy measures. He left Ajmer district some 20 years ago. Chagna needs time to recall the names of his children. For Shanti, they are 10 living realities she has given birth to. in the space of 13 or 14 years. While still burdened with a breastfed child, Shanti is now expecting her 11th child. Continuous pregnancies, demanding toddlers, force Shanti to look for help. Soon enough, it is the little girls amongst them from whom she expects full support. In some fateful sense, this is also how the little girls prepare themselves for their future roles. Today, Sharda is the little second mother to her brothers and sisters. Soon she will be a mother herself, bearing children from the age of 14, 15, 16 years.
Sharda, Naurat, Ratan, Samantya, here Amri, Suva, Choti Bai Sabriya, जिसके बाद काली
Teju is Chagna's married son. He carries Petromax lights in weddings for a living. He's picked on little symbols as a way of breaking tradition. Film starish chain, shirt, boots, fancy hairstyle, even the indulgence of the cinema. Girls get no such options in rural or urban areas. The life of girls is almost always a repetition of her mother's life. So will it be for Samtya? Is Samtya 7 or 8 years old? In poor, uneducated families, no one bothers with birth dates or age. Shielding her infant womanhood under long robes, Samtya, unlike her village counterparts, does not only follow the norms of a male-oriented society, she also takes on the colors of the urban culture. Out there on the streets, earning a living. She, along with other family members, sells newspapers near India Gate, just a little distance away from the corridors of Parliament House, where the spokesmen for her welfare give committed, intense, lengthy speeches. Neither Samtya nor her elder sister Sharda have ever heard those speeches and promises. About 11 lakh Japanese collaboration cars sold in 1 year are consuming a minimum of 33 crore rupees worth of petrol. In the same year, 1.75 crores were allocated by the Government of India for the Sak Year of the Girl Child. At the same time, Samtya is living a life totally contrary to every human concept of childhood. Her only rebellion is disinterest. Sharda, older, a few years closer to reality, is learning to shut out her instincts. Sometimes, distraction brings childhood fleeting back onto her face. But Sharda already knows the logistics of earning and eating, and will make sure Samtya learns it too. Whether a girl child is in the village or in the city, there is no reprieve from work. If she is not collecting fodder and firewood across long distances, she is selling newspapers. Either way, there is no childhood. Nearly every fourth Indian is a Samtya or a Sharda, forming a large part of the 45 million child labour population in our country. When attention began to focus on the girl child, a very deep social issue was raised. Here is a society where child labor is widespread, in spite of legislation and a directive principle in the Constitution for free and compulsory education up to the age of 14. What can such a society offer a girl child? Samthya has no say in such matters. She never will, just like her elders never did. More than 20 million people are living away from the district they were born into, because that district never gave them the infrastructure to sustain themselves and their families, not even water, for which they had to walk long distances. A little water nearby is incentive enough to come to the city. But marginal fulfillment of basic needs does not in any way ensure emancipation or even a move towards progressive thinking. Biologically, it is said that girls are born sturdier than boys. Nature maintains a balanced male-female ratio because fewer girls are born than boys. Unfortunately, the traditional desire for boys is not the only factor against girls. In a survival system where food is hard to get, where dowry must be given, where maleness is equated with virility, the birth of girls is dreaded and shunned. Out of 12 million girls born every year, 3 million are dead before they are 15. Daughters of illiterate mothers are subject to more deaths. Such facts show what a woman thinks of herself and how that perception is passed on to a girl born unto her. The woman of India has not been equipped to think. Only 40% of India, mainly from the upper classes and largely male, is literate. More than half of India is steeped in superstition and beliefs which are sustained with ignorance and lack of education. Facing that is a strong male-dominated society that believes in lineage, in bearing many children, in keeping women subdued and unable to question or choose. Since there are no choices, women learn to labor and smile from childhood to death. Unlike in the village, in an urban slum, there may be few chances to smile or even play, but never without the burden of pots, children, and imminent childbirth. Sharda, at 11 or 12 years of age, will now never have that freak chance to play. Already betrothed, Marriage could be any time for her now, and she has already been groomed for it. She can cook, clean, fill water, look after the younger ones, and sell newspapers. In most traditional communities, girls are given away in marriage by the age of 14 or 15. Every girl child knows there is very little time before she too will be married off. So while there is a chance, the little ones desperately snatch a little fun, even while they're performing their predestined female duty of watching over the younger ones. The continuous daily routine of a girl child ensures that she will be the perfect woman. Girls like Sharda do not even complete their full physical growth by the time they are into their first pregnancy. Today she is the accomplished elder daughter, running the household while her mother awaits the birth of the next child. In a few years' time, a similar domestic scene will have Sharda sitting in her mother's place with her own children around her. The problems of poverty and survival, of continuous births, of herself as an overworked, underfed, childbearing mother will all be the same, and the problem of her daughter, the girl child, will also be the same. The life of the woman and the girl child is solely and completely interlinked and tied to her family, before she marries and after. Her security, her joys, her minimal needs are linked to them, and she cannot be taken away from this cocoon. If her fate or her status has to be changed, it is the entire family that has to be provided with education, skills to earn, and the possibility to live a better life. That is the prerequisite before ancient traditional concepts of women and womanhood can even begin to be broken. Until then, the pattern of a girl child's life will run exactly as Sharda's life runs today. All the posters and seminars on the girl child are not going to change the predestined fate of either Samthya or others like her. What we cannot forget is that we lose a chance every year that we neglect our Samthyas, because 12 million girls are born every year, waiting in vain to be fed, clothed, educated. A large number of them die of deliberate poisoning, amniocentesis, malnourishment. The remaining become victims of continual early pregnancies. In India, more women die due to maternal reasons in a month than in North America, Europe, Japan and Australia put together in 1 year. As every 5-year plan passes by, numbers are born and die. In the meantime, men like Chagna are out on the streets of the big cities with the family to sell newspapers every day. Each day, he and Shanti leave behind those children who no longer need to be breastfed but are too young to earn. They are locked outside the house, left to fend for themselves. Out in the open, summer, winter, monsoon. They have absolutely no protection. They could fall sick, get a fracture, come under a car, get kidnapped. Who knows? Some girls in the South Delhi slum have been taken into school by a voluntary social service agency. These girls are the exception, at least right now. How many will continue with school is an open question. The dropout rate of girls is very, very high in India. In fact, the literacy level of females has been consistently dropping, while there's been a great increase in the adolescent female workforce. Between them, Chagna's entire family sells 300 newspapers. They save about 25 paise on each paper. This money covers their daily needs, food and travel. For 20 years, Chagna has lived like this in Delhi. He is unaware of the stress he has subjected his wife to, of the carbon monoxide fumes that constantly fill up in his children's lungs every day, of the inhumanity of subjecting a pregnant wife to traffic dangers. For Shanti, it is the only life she knows. Did she ever dream? Did she ever have any wishes? There is no one to ask Shanti, like there's no one to ask Prem, her eldest married daughter. Prem is expecting her 3rd child, while her mother is expecting her 11th. We may choose to give Samtya's future benefit of doubt, but there is no doubt that Prem, like her mother, will bear endless children. Her husband Govinda, in his ignorance, will be proud to have that many. Between them they will give birth to a Teju, who will adopt a rakish urban air, to other sons who will play marbles till they're old enough to earn and prove their virility, and to more Shardas and Samtyas, who will be working through childhood and bearing children in their adolescence. This whole fragmented heritage from a little village in Ajmer to the big metro in Delhi, with famine behind them and the marginally better life here. Centuries of male superiority and converting women into baby-making machines. This is Santhia's inheritance in the aftermath of the year of the girl child. A year in which the entire annual budget of a United Nations Organization for Children was equivalent to the cost of just 10 jet aircrafts. In a year where the world spends $2.5 billion on arms and military hardware every day. What chance does Santhia have for a better life?
Bye.